The late afternoon sun cast long shadows over the dry plains as Jacob Harper, a rugged rancher who had spent years alone after his wife's death, rode his horse toward the old Miller farm. He had been checking fences when he noticed smoke rising in the distance. Normally, the Miller place was quiet, empty, even. But this felt wrong. As he approached, the smell of charred wood and ash reached him. His heart tightened. Something had gone terribly wrong. Dismounting, he crept closer, scanning the homestead. Then he saw her. A little girl no older than 8 crouched in the front yard. Her clothes were torn and covered in dirt. Her small hands clutched the lifeless body of a woman lying beneath a tree, her face pale, her eyes closed forever. The girl's wide, tear-streaked eyes darted at Jacob. "Stay back," she shouted, voice trembling but strong. "Don't come near." Jacob raised his hand slowly, keeping his voice calm. "I'm not going to hurt you. I just want to help." The girl's gaze flicked between him and her mother, her tiny body tense with fear. "You can't. She can't be left alone." Jacob took a careful step forward. "I know, but you shouldn't be here by yourself either." For a moment she hesitated, tears brimming. I'm all she has. If I leave, who'll protect her?" Jacob's chest tightened. He had lost someone he loved deeply, once upon a time. The grief he'd carried for years hit him anew, seeing this girl clinging to the body of the only family she had left. "Katie," he said gently, crouching down to her level, "my name's Jacob. I can help you. You don't have to stay out here alone." The girl's eyes searched his face, suspicion and grief warring within her. "How do I know you're not going to leave me too?" Jacob's voice softened, steady as the plains winds. "I won't, I promise. You come with me. I'll keep you safe." She shook her head violently. "No, I have to stay with her. She needs me." Jacob held her gaze. "Your mother would want you alive, not buried here with her. You're too important, kid. Come with me. I'll take care of you." Her sobs broke through, but she still refused. Jacob didn't push. Instead, he sat beside her, letting the wind whip around them. Hours passed as the sun dipped below the horizon. He didn't speak much, just stayed near, letting her cry, letting her grief flow. He knew rushing her would do more harm than good. Finally, as the cold night set in and stars began to prick the sky, she whispered almost inaudibly, I can't stay here, alone. I'll go with you." Jacob offered his hand. "That's my girl," he said softly. "Come on, we're leaving." With trembling fingers, she took his hand. He lifted her into the saddle in front of him, keeping a firm but gentle grip. She clung to him, burying her face into his chest as they rode across the plains. The moonlight lit their path, the silence broken only by the steady thud of hooves on the dirt. When they reached his ranch, Jacob led her inside, setting her down beside the fire. He fetched blankets, warm food, and a cup of cocoa. She stared, amazed at the warmth, at the smell of home, at the quiet comfort she hadn't known she could still feel. "You're safe now," Jacob said, watching her curl into the blankets. "No one can hurt you here." Over the next days, the girl, whom Jacob learned was named Emily, slowly opened up. She told him about her mother, how she had fallen ill and how Emily had stayed by her side until the end. She spoke little at first, haunted by grief, but Jacob was patient, never forcing her to talk, simply providing the steady presence she needed. Jacob also had to alert the local authorities and arrange for proper care for Emily. But at night, when the world was quiet, he would sit by her side and tell her stories of his ranch, of horses and wide-open skis, of kindness and courage, teaching her that life, even after loss, could still hold hope. Weeks later, Emily was laughing again, small but resilient, learning to trust that someone could love her and protect her. And Jacob, who had thought his heart had hardened after years of solitude, discovered a new purpose. Protecting this little girl became his life, his mission, and slowly, his healing. One evening, as they watched the sun set over the prairie, Emily whispered, "Thank you, Jacob, for not leaving me." He squeezed her small hand. "I told you, kid, you're coming with me, and I'll never let go." And in that quiet ranch house, the orphan girl and the widowed rancher formed a bond forged from grief, courage, and hope. A bond that promised that even after tragedy, life could begin again. The night Emily rode with Jacob to his ranch, the wind howled like a living creature, rattling the windows and doors. Snow from the nearby mountains had begun drifting across the plains, and the cold bit through Jacob's coat, but he barely noticed. His focus was entirely on keeping Emily safe. Every bump in the road, every crackle of the prairie under the horse's hooves made her flinch, and he tightened his grip, murmuring, "I've got you, kid. You're safe now." When they finally reached the ranch, Jacob led the horse to the barn, settling Emily gently into a warm blanket near the fire. She shivered violently, and he poured her a cup of cocoa, watching her small hands wrap around it, seeking warmth. "I've never had cocoa," she whispered, awe in her eyes. Jacob smiled softly. "It's a simple thing, but it makes the cold go away a little." Over the next few days, Jacob juggled the responsibilities of the ranch and caring for Emily. Every morning he prepared breakfast and got her dressed in the thick clothes he had left for her. Every evening he told her stories by the fire, stories of the ranch, of the wild horses he'd raised, of storms he'd survived. Slowly, Emily's laughter began to return. At first, it was tentative, like a fragile bird testing its wings. Then one day, she ran through the yard, chasing the chickens, her voice ringing like sunlight across the prairie. But the shadow of her mother's death never fully left. At night, Emily would wake screaming, clutching her blanket, whispering, "I'm sorry, Mama, I couldn't save you." Jacob would hold her close, whispering, "You did everything you could, kid. Your mama loved you and she's proud of you. Now she wants you to live, to be strong." Weeks passed, and Jacob began to notice changes in himself as well. The emptiness he had carried since losing his own wife slowly began to fill with purpose. Feeding Emily, guiding her, comforting her, it reminded him of the kind of love he had thought he had lost forever. He realized that protecting her didn't just give Emily a second chance, it was giving him one too. Then came the day the authorities arrived. A pair of local lawmen and a social worker came to take Emily for proper care. Emily clung to Jacob, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Please don't take me," she begged. Jacob knelt to her level. "Kid, I can't stop them, but I promise this, I will fight for you. You're not going anywhere I can't reach. I'll be with you every step." The social worker, seeing the bond between them, hesitated. "Mr. Harper, it's clear she trusts you. Perhaps a temporary arrangement here at the ranch would be best until we can ensure her safety." Jacob exhaled, relief flooding him. "That's all I ask. Just don't separate her from the only family she's known these past weeks." Days turned into months. Emily began to heal both physically and emotionally. Jacob taught her how to ride, how to care for the animals, how to tend the garden. Each small lesson was a building block in her recovery, and she soaked up every word like a sponge. One afternoon, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, Emily sat on the porch steps, painting a small picture of her mother and her in the yard. Jacob watched silently, pride swelling in his chest. "You miss her, don't you?" he asked gently. Emily nodded, her eyes shimmering. "But I'm not scared anymore, not when you're here." Jacob smiled, ruffling her hair. "That's right, you're not alone, not ever again." The first snow of winter fell lightly, dusting the ranch in white. Emily ran through the yard, giggling, her cheeks flushed from the cold, and Jacob followed, laughing as he caught her. For the first time in years, the ranch wasn't just a place of work, it was home. And for both of them, home meant safety, love, and the promise of a future. By spring, the townsfolk knew the story of the little girl and the widowed rancher. They spoke in hushed tones of the man who had carried grief, hope, and resilience in his heart. Jacob never sought recognition. He had done what anyone with courage and compassion would have done. He had saved a life, and in doing so, had allowed his own heart to heal. One evening, as Emily climbed into bed, she whispered, "Thank you, Jacob, for everything." He sat beside her, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You don't need to thank me, kid. I promised I'd keep you safe. And I always will. Now go to sleep, dream big, and remember, you're stronger than you think." As Jacob looked out over the ranch, the sun setting behind the mountains, he realized something profound. Life had handed him a gift he had never expected, a chance to love again, to protect, to teach, and to see hope blossom where sorrow once lay. And in Emily's laughter and her courage, he found the family he had thought lost forever. In the quiet of the prairie, under a sky painted with stars, Jacob Harper and the orphan girl he had saved forged a bond that would last a lifetime, proof that even in the darkest moments, acts of courage and kindness could light the way toward a brighter future.